great blessing to be with almost 600 members of our stake who walked the trail across Rocky Ridge and experienced and felt a little of what our forefathers experienced over that sacred part of the ground.
My family was made up of several different people that I've never met before, and I was able to meet a lot of new people, and the men in our group were very nice. They were able to push the hand carts for us, and we helped as best we could, but most of the time they just kept us going.
Was it difficult?
It was very difficult. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
We go through life and we do a lot of things, and then every once in a while, very rarely, we do something that will really and truly impact our life. And I am so grateful for those in our stake that planned and executed the trek, because for me personally, this was one of those things that I believe will truly have impacted my life. I've read the stories and I've told the stories in talks on Pioneer Day about the pioneer and their experiences, but I have never really understood what the pioneer experience was before this. And now what I know is I still don't understand it, but I have a much greater appreciation for the sacrifices they made. I have come away with a greater commitment to do all I can to be faithful in the kingdom and to make sacrifices in strengthening my testimony and blessing my family and building up the kingdom.
Very impressive. I've heard a lot of the young people, as well as the Ma's and Pa's, talk about how impressed, how touched they were when they saw those little ones, because they'd heard the stories and they knew who they were.
We knew the cart was going to get there. We didn't know if the cart was going to get there with the family.
With our family, and that was the struggle.
That was the biggest struggle for us as Ma's and Pa's, was
keeping our
family together and teaching the strong ones that the important part is that we arrived together.
Sums it up the most was at Rock Creek Hollow. We were tired and we had journeyed to the end, but we took our family and we walked over to the memorial there, and there in the middle of there was a large granite stone with a single word on it, and the single word sums it up for me, and it's remember. Remember the sacrifices that people made before us to go on. Remember the sacrifices that we made, and remember those things in our life that are important to us, the spiritual things and the family things, and that we're here for a reason.
I remember coming out of Evanston and not wanting it to end. It was that good. It was such a neat thing how every member of our little family had bonded.
My mom and pa were Buckway, Mike Buckway, his wife, and in my family we had 10 kids, 2 of which were adults. The children, we pretty much all knew each other with the exception of like 2 kids, but it was still really weird to get together with them. I mean, none of us were really great friends, but we got together and we all bonded just on that first bus ride. I mean, it was so long, 7 hours of just sitting in those cramped seats. And we played little get-to-know-you games, and we got really close. Even before we started hiking, we were a family.
The end of the day was when we struggled the most, when some of our members were wearing out and the boys wanted to go and they wanted to get it over with, and the girls were back struggling to put one foot in front of the other.
I was one of the first ones on our bus in the morning because my parents were helping out, and so I got on the bus and I was just thinking, I wonder what my family's going to be like. I hope we all get along. And all of a sudden, people started coming on the bus, and I was like, all right, this is going to be fun. And we got all our family together, and we had a little meeting. And right off, I was just real excited, because we had a really good family. Everyone was excited to be there. Everyone was ready to pull. And within 10 minutes, we were all friends.
The hardest part for me on Rocky Ridge was that I died. And I was so devastated, because I'd been pushing with all my heart, and I don't know how much difference I made, but to have those angels pull me off and say that I can't help my family anymore, it broke my heart.
It helped my testimony grow to know that the pioneers went through a lot more than what I thought they had, you know what I mean? Not hard, but it was so hard, and that, I mean, we only went for 2 days, 14 miles a day, but they went for
months and months and months, and how hard that was.
Probably Rocky Ridge. I think as we went up and over Rocky Ridge and I started to have some knee problems and fell back, and we lost a couple along the way that weren't able to be with us. And I think at that point the kids, they pulled together.
Had to.
When we arrived back at the church and everyone was sitting there clapping and waving, and you know, there's tears running down people's face, and people were going up and giving their ma and pa's hugs, and I remember when I got off the bus, I was just thinking, wow, you know, I just spent 3 incredible days with people that were strangers 3 days beforehand, but I've gotten so close, and I was happy to be home, but on the other hand, I was also extremely sad knowing that I wouldn't be able to spend time with the people I had grown so close to, and seeing all the people there waving, you know, I'm sure that's how it was when the pioneers got into the valley, and people were congratulating them and, you know, giving them hugs and saying, you know, you made it, and that's how it was for us, you know, they said you made it, and it was really awesome.
The young adults had the opportunity of going ahead of the youth and setting up what we called stations, and they went through and were each assigned to talk about a certain aspect of the trek. We had ones that wore burlap on their shoes, and when the people got there, talked to them about what they're wearing now compared to what they were wearing back then, and explained that they were cold and that they didn't have the means. They also had a 1-ounce biscuit that they gave everybody, and said they got 4 ounces of flour every day. Can you imagine, you know, and brought it more to life for the youth. We had another one where they held a piece of ice in their hand as tight as they could until it melted. You couldn't move the ice or anything, and it started to hurt. And they're like, you know, and imagine that the women were wearing dresses that were frozen, and that they were carrying this heavy load, and they were freezing like your hand is. And it really helped the youth get a better perspective of what they went through.
We were definitely humbled. we felt our age, but it was good. And you know, with a couple of months to get the feet and the legs back in order, you know, it's one of those things that when you first come home you say never, but you know, it's been a couple of time has passed and you think, okay, I can do that, maybe I would do that again someday. But spiritually, definitely the first day was, I know why they had the first day. It was to humble us and to prepare us so that the second day our hearts and minds were wide open.
We came on this trek to have an opportunity to feel what occurred at that point in time in the history of the church, and then we left with a commitment to let Zion go into our hearts. So those saints years ago left seeking Zion, and we went with a desire to put Zion into our hearts and have a greater desire to live the principles of the gospel.